People don't understand one thing. When you put money in the bank, you're not putting money in your bank. You're lending money to a company, which is the bank, and the bank says to you, listen, we're going to pay you back if we can, when we can, the way we can. Stoicism can help you understand Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin can help you live a life as a Stoic and don't get bothered by worldly problems, because Bitcoin literally unlocks you from the matrix. Like, it unplugs you from the matrix and it plugs you in something else, which is Bitcoin, which is a standard based on mathematics, mathematics that are discovered, not invented. So they are the universal truths, and that's stuck with you, and that's what Bitcoin helps create. Free men. It's the great emancipator. It's the great emancipator of humankind. So we need to see it as that, and it's really important. And anybody that's trying to, to use it as a prop to sell us seedless, to sell us crypto, whatever, these people are charlatans. These people are sick. They have not yet reached peace in their hearts. They have not reached that level that you should all aspire to. And these people, they want to build their bunkers, they want to isolate them from ourselves, they see us as the enemy. Meanwhile, Bitcoiners are building the human society. We're fixing this world that they ruined. They ruined this world and they're trying to run away to their bunkers with our money, But Bitcoiners, we're staying here, talking to everybody else, we're helping everybody else understand, and we're gonna fix it here and they can go fuck themselves. So that's what we're doing, man, and it's a beautiful work. It's God's work. We're an infinite minority that are Bitcoiners, and among this infinite minority that are Bitcoiners, we don't truly know who really understands it. So, like, it's so early, don't worry about it. You didn't miss the boat. Today is the day one. Today is the day one of your Bitcoin future, man. And so that's what Stoicism teaches. Like you said, the future is uncertain. You can be dead tomorrow, man. So at least live today in abundance. At least live today with a free peace of mind, knowing that you're building a better future for yourself and everybody around you.
If you're enjoying the show, it would mean a lot to me if you had hit subscribe and leave a quick rating or review. It helps more people find these conversations and support the mission. And if you need help getting your Bitcoin off exchanges and into self-custody, or if you're ready to build a robust, bespoke inheritance plan, the Become Unruggable one-on-one consulting program where you will work exclusively with me is exactly what you're looking for. You can find all the ways to reach out to me in the show notes down below. Now, let's get started with today's episode. What do you get when you cross a Stoic philosopher with the Bitcoin maximalist who shitposts for a sport? A calm man watching the world burn and tweets through it. Joining me is Yugocana, a Stoic Bitcoiner whose presence on Bitcoin Twitter is equal parts philosophical and uncompromising. He's a firm believer in the first principles, personal responsibilities, and the power of Bitcoin to reshape not just money, but the human mind. At Bull Bitcoin, he's part of a team building tools that defend freedom through financial sovereignty. No shortcuts, no compromises. Online, his voice stands out for his grounded perspectives, mixing ancient Stoic wisdom and the hard truths of the modern Fiat world. Tonight, we'll explore how philosophy meets protocol and why cultivating the right mindset may be just as important as holding your own keys. Yugocana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother, man, for that introduction. I'm humbled. Thank you, my friend. I just try to shitpost, and then I don't think before I shitpost. I shitpost first, I think later.
Nice.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's an absolute pleasure, man. I've been really enjoying and being a fan of your shitposting on X. And of course, I love the fact that you're working for one of my favorite companies in the space. Shout out to Bull Bitcoin. And it was a no-brainer that sooner or later, Yugocana needs to come on the show. And of course, for those listeners that know, I have my Balkan roots as well, and so does Yugocana. So it's only logical that two Balkans come on the show and rip some hardcore Bitcoin talk. But I guess before we get into the philosophical and shitposting, let's start with some basics, Yugocana. How did your journey into Bitcoin begin?
Man, it's a crazy story. It goes back to 2013. I had my friend, okay, that lived in Montreal. I'm in Quebec City back then. And it's a 2.5 hours drive, right? And we used to go on the weekends to Montreal because of the nightlife, we were students and, these guys, they lived in an apartment 5 guys living in an apartment. It was called 10 balls historically because there were 5 guys, and we used to always chill there. I drop there, I go to the apartment, and my friends, they say, we just met one guy named Commander X. He looked like he was homeless or a multimillionaire. We weren't sure which of the two. And he told us something about a Bitcoin, and he was living off it. He was purchasing Subway gift cards and Starbucks gift cards with what he was eating, and he was like living that way. And he was looked like the FBI was looking for him, and I was like, man, what the fuck is this story? What are you guys talking about? And that's the first time we heard about Bitcoin. Okay, and afterwards we saw on the web, and you can search it up. This guy exists. He's called Commander X. He's some kind of a hacker, whatever, early Bitcoin adopter, and I don't know what happens to him since. So it started in 2013. When I heard about it first, I went online to try to buy some. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy for $100, and let's see what happens. It might be total crap, but back then it wasn't as easy as today, where you can go on Bull Bitcoin and buy it and sell it and even pay your credit card, whatever. Back then it was like shady sites, and the reviews used to say like money laundering, the criminals and everything like that. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to be part of no criminal, bullshit and no money laundering. So I left it go. From 2013 until 2021, I've been on and off. I hear about it. I don't understand it. I buy shit coins. I get wrecked. I buy again some Bitcoin. I don't understand. And in 2021, I had the epiphany hit me. And that's when I truly understood what I held, because Bitcoin is a strange thing. You can buy it, you can sell it, you can hold it and never understand it. And there's a lot of motherfuckers not understanding Bitcoin. Like you have literally Peter Todd that doesn't understand Bitcoin right now from the way that he's tweeting. And so there's a lot of people that own Bitcoin, and some are Bitcoin millionaires that they will never know what Bitcoin is, and they're eventually gonna get wrecked, because if you don't understand it, you don't know what you hold. So my Bitcoin maximalist journey started in 2021.
Wow, well, you certainly had your ups and downs, and I guess the TLDR from that story is you really got to put in your proof of work, studying and figuring out what is this protocol, because it doesn't come easy. Like to me as well, I started past you in 2017, but it took me like a solid 3 years until 2020 to really like have this light bulb moment and like, aha, this is like, there's a big difference between Bitcoin and this whole crypto shit casinery going on.
Yeah.
Which essentially is just a digitalized fiat. They print out, it's a pre-mine, it's all controlled by a certain group of people. But Bitcoin truly is, I don't really like the word decentralized, but it is really the most decentralized money that we have out there.
Yeah, and now how I see it is basically there's only two systems. There's Bitcoin and there's the Fiat shit fuckery, and everything goes inside that. I put the shit coins, I put the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas that I just attended, I put the whole mindset of scarcity versus abundance, and I think that you can't truly understand Bitcoin until you've stopped chasing it. Once you become beautiful like a flower and you expect the bees to come to you and you're not out there chasing all the flowers, then you can start to understand Bitcoin. If you're hungry, you're gonna have 100 shitcoiners promise you returns, yields, fucking gifs, JPEGs and whatnot, and you're gonna get wrecked. And Bitcoin, that's what adds also to the beauty of it. Like once you start to be curious about Bitcoin, you're totally immediately bombarded by 1,000 other things that are not Bitcoin. So this forces you immediately to say, wait a minute, where's the bullshit here? Who's bullshitting me? And that's what Bitcoin trains you to do, to find the bullshit, to find who's trying to fuck you. So yeah, for me now I see it that way, and there's no second best. And it's not just a blockchain that's decentralized. Bitcoin is a moment in time that happened at a specific moment that had all of the key ingredients that made it happen. What makes Bitcoin, that makes it special, like Todd says, it's just a blockchain. No, it's not. Like it's the same way saying, look, I can start my own Facebook. Like, no, you can't. When he started Facebook, it was that moment where, he was at that time, he did it. And it's not something you can do like from the hat because you just know the code about it. That's not the point. So fast forward, we've had slowly incredible people joined Bitcoin and add their energy and their hopes and their dreams, and that built on it and that made it more accessible, like what Francis did with Bull Bitcoin. Man, shout out to him and to all of the engineers and all of the super geeks that know how it works behind the veil. I'm not an engineer, I'm a people's person, but I have mad respect for those people that made it accessible, so that now you have a grandma that's 75 years old that just spoke to her grandson that convinced her, and she goes on to bull Bitcoin and she buys for $5,000 of Bitcoin. How fucking based is that, man?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. First of all, the stuff that Bull Bitcoin's doing, I'm been a huge fan ever since they entered the European market, which kind of enabled me access, because prior it was only Canadian based, unfortunately, and I couldn't tamper with it. I heard about Bull Bitcoin, but after using it, it's the most seamless and the most logical step to go, where most people think Bull Bitcoin just another, Bitcoin exchange where you go, you buy some Bitcoin, you hold it there, and it's the same story over. But no, actually the whole self-custody aspect, which I'm a big proprietor, and with my I have a one-on-one self-custody consultancy that I started beginning of the year called Become Unruggable. And to me, it's like the ideal thing to send people to Bull Bitcoin. Say, instead of you having to buy the coins and then figure out how you're going to withdraw them, it's actually on Bull Bitcoin. When you wire the money, you put in your wallet, may that be on-chain, liquid, lightning, and it instantly goes straight into your holdings, which is how most exchanges should be. And I think apart from Bull Bitcoin, I had Adam Bryan on a few weeks ago with Bitcoin Well. I don't think, funnily enough, two Canadian exchanges, like there's no one else actually really pushing. I think there's a handful of smaller ones in Europe, but like it's just such a principled thing to do for Bitcoin, where the whole ethos is not your keys, not your coins. And it's just crazy that most people use the Coinbases, the Rivers, the Strikes of the world, just putting their screenshots. I bought this much Bitcoin. Well, hopefully, brother, you withdraw into self-custody, because if you didn't, you're essentially just, parking your sats on someone else's land, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's just
Exactly.
insane how we're in 2025, Yugo, and most people still hold their Bitcoin on exchanges. Isn't
It's
that
totally
insane?
retarded. It's totally retarded. And like in Canada, we've seen Quadriga. Like it's
Yeah.
not like we haven't seen it. We've seen it back to back. Like, and still to this day, people don't want to get a free wallet. You can have the Bull Bitcoin wallet for free on Android. Just write the fucking words and it's yours. You don't even need a cold wallet if you don't want one. So for me, it's just mind boggling. And I have a lot of friends, that are not Bitcoiners, but that bought Bitcoins because I orange pilled them. And like I'm like, bro, buy a fucking cold wallet. It's $100. Like it's the best investment you can make, because you're just a sitting duck. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but someday. And especially if, let's say, one Bitcoin goes up to 1 million, like we're not talking about the same value on these exchanges. It's going to become a lot more tempting for them to run away with your money. And think about it. If Bernie Madoff was able to steal people's money while he was a Wall Street exec sitting on all kinds of Wall Street, boards that were important, and while having JP Morgan literally seeing in his account that he wasn't buying any securities, so they were his criminal buddy,
Colliding. Yeah.
and he was still
Partners
able
in
to
crime.
partners in crime, and he was still able to rug everybody. Imagine how easy it's gonna be to rug you if you're holding your Bitcoin on some stupid exchange. Like this is like, people, please do it. Like, pretty please, with a cherry on the top, just go download that free wallet. You have a Bull Bitcoin on Android, you have Wallet of Satoshi, really easy
Qua
to
Wallet.
use on
Shout out to
iOS.
the Aqua
Yeah,
team with
yeah,
Gentry.
Aqua
Amazing.
Team, Prince Philip, and the whole of that crew. They're super cool people. There's so many choices. Like, there's no excuses.
100%. But I guess, as the saying goes, you never learn your lesson until you get burnt. So I guess the new people entering the space who haven't gone through the FTX, who haven't gone through Quadriga, the old school people who haven't gone through MT Gox, like, I guess you need to burn. I used to give this example early on the show, where I said, getting my driver's license, my parents always told me, Gigi, don't drive fast. And I was like, yeah, of course. I won't drive fast. But until I wrecked the car and totaled it, I didn't learn my lesson. Only then I was like, maybe I'll take it
slow
easy.
down.
Well, I'll slow down, But like, no matter how many times you get told, don't go fast. And the same thing, I guess, it applies to Bitcoin. It's like, move to, cold storage, get your, and yeah, I'll do it. And then bam, you go into your exchange 40404 error, and you're like, maybe I should have listened to those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, but you snooze, you lose, man. If you want to snooze, you're
True.
gonna lose. So
That's
act
true.
accordingly, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to steer back to the intro. I mentioned you as a Stoic, which I'm a deep Stoic student as well. I started my Stoic journey down the 2020 route when the pandemic hit, and I had plenty of time on my hands. And I read the Meditations from Marcus Aurelius, and I read Seneca and a lot of stuff, and it really opened up my mind to figuring things out within me and realizing that the only control I have is over my own thoughts instead of trying to change the world around it. And then as I progress further in both paths, the Bitcoin sovereignty path and Stoicism, there's loads of parallels between the two of them. And I'd like to bring it up to you. What are those Stoic teachings that particularly resonate with you with regards to the Bitcoin ethos?
Well, first of all, how I see it is all road is inwards, right? So to
Mm,
understand Bitcoin, you need to understand yourself. To be able to comprehend what you hold in your hand, you need to be able to be at peace with yourself. And Stoicism shows you to be an observer in the world. We're very brief creatures. We're here just for a brief time. We're gonna die soon, so carpe diem, memento mori, and you
yeah.
need to enjoy life, and you need to find the happiness in the small things. So for me, Stoicism and Bitcoin go hand to hand because one can help the other. Stoicism can help you understand Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin can help you live a life as a Stoic and don't get bothered by worldly problems, because Bitcoin literally unlocks you from the matrix. Like, it unplugs you from the matrix and it plugs you in something else, which is Bitcoin, which is a standard based on mathematics that are discovered, not invented. So they are the universal truths. We use mathematics to discover the creation of God around us. So Bitcoin starts you on that road. And since mathematics is the truth and Bitcoin is the truth, well, truth leads to God. So it leads you down that path of Stoicism and eventually to Jesus Christ. So you have all of the you have a lot of the Bitcoiners now that are converting, that are becoming Christians. I just came back from Las Vegas. We were a group of based Bitcoin. We went to the church there, to the Orthodox Church in Las Vegas. We had a blast. So yeah, that's how I see it. And also in Stoicism, as you say, like, you don't want to change the people around you because you realize that you cannot change them. You can just
Mm.
show an example. So it forces you also to become the purest version of a Bitcoiner that you can, and to not be out there selling anything to anybody, trying to convince anybody about anything, but you just do it yourself, and by your example, hopefully you will incitate other people to follow your path. And I'm so glad that I did. And there's many people around me that are now also reading the Stoic books and buying Bitcoin. So that's what we're here for.
No, for sure. Looking inwards, most people don't do it. One thing, I'll be transparent. I'm not exactly a religious person. I've followed religions, but to me, Buddhist teachings, so not Buddhism, because there is no Buddhism. That's a Western term that kind of made it into an ism. But Buddha's teachings, which I found a fascinating journey about Buddha, which essentially was a prince and kind of left his kingdom and saw how the life is, really outside in the real world. And he left behind this message: instead of you trying to seek, the truth around you, look inside you deep enough. And that to me portrays perfectly how the Stoic principles are, focusing on yourself. As much as we all want to change the world, we can't do it radically. It's about, as that famous and one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs is "Man in the Mirror," right? Like, first change yourself, and then as an example, change the people around you. So I think, hand in hand, Stoicism and Bitcoin is just like a match made in heaven. And then particularly going back to the self-custody aspect, which we touched upon, essentially self-custody can be viewed as a form of practical Stoicism, because once you have those sats in your cold storage, you're fully unaffected with what's happening. Is Coinbase up, down, Fidelity gone, all the other shenanigans in the space happening? It doesn't really affect you. You are like at peace with your sats and cold storage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it gives you a peace of mind and it creates you your own little universe.
Mm.
And like everybody's trying to do something, but in Bitcoin, we're the only ones trying to make everybody do nothing. Like, just buy it, cold storage it. You don't need to do nothing. You don't need even to post anything. You don't even need to be public or anything. So, yeah, I agree with you totally that it goes hand to hand. And Stoicism also, there's something about the duty. like our duty as human beings. What is our duty as fathers, as members of society, and that's another thing that I find beautiful in Bitcoin, the community. And there's a lot of Bitcoiners that feel that they have a duty, to orange pill their friends, their family, to spread the innovation, which is Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin just fucking ripped open space and time. Like this is something completely new that is connecting the digital world to the physical world in a way that's very concrete, in a way that can produce for you and your family things that you never dreamed of. So you have Bitcoiners now living their best lives, buying the beautiful houses, going traveling, whatever. I was blessed to be able like to bring my whole family, my sisters of my father, sisters of my mother, to Dubrovnik, to Herceg Novi in Montenegro, to go to Bosnia, because Bitcoin also gives you that financial freedom if you're able to hold it and if you're able to build on it. So it's a whole little universe for just yourself, and it only depends on your choices. You are the only responsible for how it's going to play out. You can't blame nobody with Bitcoin, and also there's nobody to call if you fuck up. So that's also a beautiful thing for me.
There's no helpline. That's a powerful thing. The actual, what is the word? Well, we could call it discipline, but like the whole self-sovereign aspect. As much as I love it, some people are intimidated because like you're giving them full responsibility. You lose that Bitcoin, it's gone. You donated it to the network forever. Thanks
Yeah.
for your sats. Powerful as that is, some people are like, oh, but I'm not sure. Like in a bank, I know, like if I forget my password on my online banking, I can go to the branch and I can, do my verification. But then to me, it's like, man, Bitcoin really makes you more disciplined and a responsible person. Because, man, if you cannot hold your 12 or 24 words safely somewhere, how are you supposed to raise children and do great things in the world? I mean, it's a pretty straightforward, basic thing. I think as humanity, against our will, we have been softened so much by the system, at least in the last 100 years, with the whole Hollywood and the whole Netflix and just chill and give up rights to everything. How with Carl Schwab, you will own nothing and be happy, kind of.
Yeah.
We are semi 1 foot in that world where most people own nothing and they're like, like it's fine, let me go out, get wasted. But man, like there's so much more to life than just letting go of everything. And Bitcoin really pushes you to be that self-sovereign person. So to me, it's a fantastic thing. But I guess some people, they're so deep in the system, like in the Matrix, right? Like
Yeah.
they will fight you to protect the system that feeds them.
Absolutely. And there's also the other side of what you just said. We have people now that are trying to send money to bull Bitcoin to buy some Bitcoin, right? Money that they worked all their life hard, that they paid taxes on, and that they paid all of the fucking fees and the bank fees and whatever. And now the bank just says, no, you can't. So you need to call the bank and to beg the banker, please, pretty please, banker, let me use my own money with which I paid all the tax and it's mine. No, it ain't yours. People don't understand one thing. When you put money in the bank, you're not putting money in your bank. You're lending money to a company, which is the bank, and the bank says to you, listen, we're going to pay you back if we can, when we can, the way we can, right? And after, good luck to you to fight them if, like during the trucker movements, and shout out to Francis and to Bull Bitcoin team to have supported the truckers when they just freeze your account because of your political views, And I have
Insane.
very salty political views. I love everybody, by the way. I have no animosity against anybody, but I have a lot of animosity against injustice, violence, and all of the political shit fuckery from these people that you just mentioned, which is a global cabal. It's a part away civilization. These people, and it happens time to time. It's nothing new, by the way, that the elites become so much isolated in their ivory towers that they don't believe that they're the same as the rest of us. But then comes a revolution and it catches up to them. So, like, it's something that happens time to time. And now, once again, these people think that they can dictate to us, free human beings, that were giving their freedom, that are God-given freedoms. And by the way, I don't see any opposition either from the Buddhist teachings and whatever. To me, like, there's only one God and it's all a human
True.
experience. And there's a lot of people coming through teaching us things and that are going back, and what we're doing right now, we're having a discussion. We might influence somebody that's listening to us and that it's going to go out and do great things, and change people's minds about important things. So for me, there's no opposition, and I love every religion as well. Like, Bitcoin gives you that power to become a very powerful human node, an independent human node, and then once you have that security for you and your family that's there, then you can go out there and preach whatever you think that is important to preach out there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
without being censored and be cut off from the banking system, which unfortunately, like, if you don't have Bitcoin and you're cut up from the banks, you're pretty screwed. Like, there's no option. And, you know, I totally agree with you, kind of the cabal and the elites that have been ruling this world for as long as we know the history books that we read, which most of them were written by the winners. So they're not
yeah,
really facts what really happened. But whatever
exactly.
we've been taught, there was always the elite which ruled the world, and they always had their tentacles as, you know, the kraken over everything. But now I think it's the first time ever in humanity that we have a parallel system that they cannot manipulate. To some certain extent, they can manipulate the price with the buying and selling and the paper Bitcoin, but generally they cannot suppress the Bitcoin protocol, which is super powerful. And I think for like, there was a time early on when they could have suppressed it, when there wasn't tens of thousands of nodes around the world, but then they were too busy, you know, sipping their champagne and eating their caviar to notice that, holy shit, these geeks are actually, you know, empowering something crazy. And now it's, you know, the genie's out the bottle. The governments have it. The companies are buying stocks. BlackRock is balls deep in it.
Yeah,
There's no cutting it out. And now it's kind of just like this race to, let's push the CBDCs out. Let's like further put our grips on the banking system, which I hope at least is going to backfire, where people are already suppressed, where you have to do unlimited amount of AML and KYC and provide funds and this and what's your mother's nickname and your underwear size. Insane to do a little like bank transfer of €1,000 or Canadian dollars, whatever it is just insane. And then like CBDCs coming out, which I don't know, like they think everything's just going to be rolled out and we are like sheepishly going to go into it. Well, I guess some people are, but like the people that are orange pilled and the people that will orange pill even harder when that system comes into effect, there will essentially be those untouchable people. And as long as you pack up your shit and get out of the country, which can come and put you in jail, you are truly free to live the life that you want to live, which I think, you know, in 2025 we have such technological advancements, we are such like advanced race, yet we are so suppressed by the system. And what you mentioned, you know, the wars, the politics, the everything, the fighting each other over some dinosaur juice in the fucking ground and killing innocent people and women, and for what? To print more money and have more zeros in your bank account. Like it's absolute bullshit. Like if there is aliens, which I think there is, no wonder they don't fucking come down, because they're looking at us saying like, look at these imbeciles like
yeah.
on their little planet smashing each other. Like we don't want to interfere with that. Like let them do their own thing.
But it's not just killing people, you know, it's killing the whole world. This
Mm,
Fiat system is killing the world.
everybody.
And I'm not saying killing the world in the sense like climate change is going to destroy everything like that. The world is going to survive. Like it's killing us on the world and our friends in nature that share the world with us, you know. We destroy habitats for what? We destroy, you know, we displace people, we bomb for what? You know, for what? There's infinite abundance. We could have we have the whole solar system to explore. I agree too for the about the aliens. I mean, at this point, I don't even think that there's any more debate that there's intelligent life out there. There's been so many things, you know, going around and proof. So yeah, and what I was gonna say is that Bitcoin, like once we start to explore also like the solar system, let's say, and we have some kind of an economy that's in orbit, you know, we're gonna try to mine some asteroids, whatever, go on to the moon, then go to Mars, as some people are talking. Well, what do you think they're gonna ship in space? Pallets of gold? No, they're gonna use Bitcoin, which is now level one technology. We have very few level one global technologies. We have the internet, we have Bitcoin, and hopefully we're gonna have some more, you know. And this is a global technology. And when I went to the sub-Saharan Africa, you know, I went to Congo, to Burundi, and to Rwanda. People were exchanging their cell minutes for money because they don't have
Mm,
bank accounts. They're too poor. So imagine once Bitcoin, which you can now use Lightning, which is on the Bitcoin standard. Lightning is not a shitcoin, by the way. And there's a lot of, well, all of the other companies in Canada, except Bull Bitcoin, they do shitcoins to some extent. Like Litecoin is shitcoin. Like there's only Bitcoin and Lightning and well, Liquid, but even Liquid is not exactly the same thing. So You can now have in Africa Lightning. You can start it for your business. So imagine once Bitcoin includes all of these people. There's billions unbanked people around the world that are yet to understand what's going on. And we also always forget that we're the first generation of Bitcoins, but there's going to be 1,000 more generation after it. This is just the first ground, the first step. The world has changed now. And as you said, is such a powerful thing that now we have a system where anybody from anywhere can join in immediately and start to contribute to that system and start to make it stronger. And when you what you said about the attacks, like, is there anything else in the world that exists today that was attacked by China and that was attacked by the United States and that didn't bust? And that's
No.
Bitcoin. And that was early Bitcoin. That was baby Bitcoin that was attacked by both. And yes, it's true that they didn't go to the nuclear option. They could have destroyed it if they went like all in. Okay, like we need to get rid. And there was like a prosecution, whatever, which they did not do. Maybe that would have worked. But their soft censorship, their soft attacks did nothing except moving miners out of China and moving them to the other, Asia Pacific countries. Because that's what Bitcoin is. We're slippery as fuck. And now with Katia that's talking about the passports and the sovereign individual is the future of man. The sovereign individual is the apex man, because now you become truly a man. And one of the first things they told me in bull Bitcoin, because like I used to work 10 years for the Canadian Parliament. I left my job. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just left everything. I went to El Salvador to the halving party, and I was like, I want to work in Bitcoin. And I had Matt from Bull Bitcoin that reached out to me, and he was like, let's grab a coffee, whatever. And when we were talking about my possibility of joining Bull Bitcoin, and we were going, we were discussing, I was like, do you think there's going to be a problem? Because I have very strong political views right now. We've just been out of the COVID. I disagreed a lot with my government, with the people I used to work with. Like, I think it's all crap. And he was like, no, free men don't ask. And that stuck with me. And that's what Bitcoin helps create. Free men. It's the great emancipator. It's the great emancipator of humankind. So we need to see it as that. And it's really important. And anybody that's trying to use it as a prop to sell us seedless, to sell us crypto, whatever, these people are charlatans. These people are sick. They have not yet reached peace in their hearts. They have not reached that level that you should all aspire to reach, a level where you can wake up at the hour you want, you can sleep, you can do what you want, you can play with your kids, you can buy a house, these people are still fucking hungry for your money. They want to take your money. So that's why they're doing it. And that's bad juju. That's bad karma for them. So you need to see them for them. I see them like when I see Sailor talking, I'm like, man, I hope this guy finds Jesus, because he's a Fiat Lord. To me, Sailor is a Fiat Lord. But Bitcoin doesn't care, because Bitcoin is going to use even these people that are around the Bitcoin, and they're going to use their energy because it's a black hole. Everything's going in. You can have the evilest motherfuckers from BlackRock in, and you can have the nicest motherfuckers like Adam Beck in, and it's good. Both are going to contribute to that system, and both are going to give and take something from that system that is going to make it grower and stronger for all of us.
Wow, powerful stuff. Just to end at the end, the universal consensus, no matter how rich or poor or nice or good you are, we all play by the same rules. It's not like Sailor has an upper hand and
Exactly.
he gets more Bitcoin per day. There's only 450 Bitcoin that are mined per day, period. Yeah, I agree to you hugely to a certain extent. In the beginning, I was very like pro Sailor, but then as time went on, I was like, I started questioning this. As good as he talks about Bitcoin, does he really understand it? Because like, there's no self-custody, there's no proof of reserve, it's all like, more shares. There's my fucking tweet on a Sunday. I need more orange dots on my chart. And then Monday, like just a beautiful picture with some golden bees. I bought X amount of thousands of Bitcoin that no one's ever seen. And now in actual Las Vegas, he was on stage with his sneakers tiptoed like a schoolboy, going like, oh, let me tell you about proof of reserve. It's all security and stuff. It's like, man, if you would understand security, there's no security flaws by you doing an actual proof of reserve where you have the coins. So I guess some people would agree, some people won't. But the point is here not if you're Camp Michael Saylor or not. The camp is everybody plays by the same rules. And
Yeah.
what you said about the self-sovereign, not self-sovereign, the sovereign individual, I actually read that book over the last Christmas holidays, and I was shocked how this book was written in the early 90s, like over 30 years ago, and how it pinpointed how like life is today, especially for me being a full, like, I'm all in on Bitcoin. There's no fiat. Whatever I need to spend for food and stuff, I sell a little bit of my Bitcoin, and that's it. And I know that nobody can wipe me. No bank will give me no hard times if I want to pull some money or if I want to send some money. Thankfully, with Bull Bitcoin now, I can send money to anyone in the world with just the stash that I have, and it's such an empowering feeling. And to me, that's the biggest goal. I'm only turning 33, so I'm fairly young, but to me, like, I always had this goal. I wanted to be a millionaire by the age of 30. Now I didn't quite hit that goal. Well, depends on what. In Satoshis, I did hit
You
the
are
1 million.
exactly.
I am a million
Exactly.
Satoshis. In the dollar terms, it was always like, come a millionaire, even though today a millionaire is not that crazy anymore than compared to 20 years ago. When you were a millionaire, you were the top dog, the boss of bosses. But now you're a millionaire, you're like nothing. You're like on the entry club to the elite.
Yeah.
And then I realized, the deeper I go in Bitcoin, it's not about like having so much money. It's setting up the life, what you said, to live on your own terms, where you don't have to be a yes man and be abiding and clocking in at 9 in the morning, clocking out 5, having your 21 or 25 days a year to go on vacation. And I love it. Like, I've been DCAing like hardcore for many years, since 2020, since that like click really went in. And then last year, until last year, I was still living in Cyprus in Europe, where like inflation was crazy. And I have 2 young kids, and I was working 2 full-time jobs in publishing and advertising, which I actually hate, but they paid the bills, and I'm a sweet talker. So, with the client relations, that was a piece of cake, but still, like, it was killing me inside. Like, I'm wasting my energy, my sacred time for some crap advertising and publishing. And then there was a certain point when I was like, you know what? How long am I going to be stacking for? Like, it's time to start living. Like, my kids are 5 and 3 years old. I don't want to be looking back in 10 years time when they're like teenagers and like why did I not like leave my job and focus on them? And then fuck it, like, it was 100K Bitcoin. Everyone's celebrating 100K. I was celebrating my sovereign individual lifestyle. I'm like, I'm resigning. I'm done. Instead of DCAing in, I'll DCate out a little bit until I figure things out. You know what? Maybe I make a little bit less money today, but like, I live such a happier life, and I want this for everybody to find what they truly love. And it's not about chasing those numbers. It's about chasing the time that you can spend with your loved ones, because time is, to me personally, the most scarce things we have apart from Bitcoin. Because
it is.
Going back to Sailor, Adam back, Yugo, Gigi, we all have 24 hours in a day. Doesn't matter our classes.
Exactly.
But what we choose with that time and living in the present, which most people don't, and this is going back full circle to Stoicism, it teaches you to live in the moment.
Yes.
The past is the past. We will never change it. It's in the history books. And the future depends on the decisions you do right now. So living in the moment is the most important thing. And that's what I love Bitcoin for. It really gives you the potential to live your ultimate life that you want to live. Do you want to be a painter and just paint for yourself? Do it. It doesn't mean
become a philosopher.
Become a philosopher, or it's not about creating the next app, creating the next $10 million company. Like, at the end of the day, those people are actually super sad, and they're always looking for happiness. Happiness can be attained, and on a Bitcoin standard, it's much closer than you think. And we don't need Bitcoin to be at $1 million in fiat terms for you to be fully free. And the other thing is, the low time preference. When you switch, like a few years ago, when I switched to Bitcoin standard and I evaluated everything in sats, even before like leaving my fiat jobs, fucking hell, man, like my spending went like plummeted. Like, I was really considering, like, do we really need that TV? Like, maybe this TV does the same job, or the phone or whatever. And like merchandise, I don't need the Gucci or a Balenciaga t-shirt for like $500, which, like, come on, man, that's like, well, back then it was like a few million sats. I'm like, oof, like all those sats for a t-shirt? Like, it's fucking cotton with some text on top. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think
this is Maddox made, though. What you have is Maddox design. So shout out to Maddox.
That is Maddox, and it's reasonably priced. Like, it's like $30, not 300. So like, I'm okay with, and this was paid in Bitcoin. So like, I'm happy to give Maddox, some of my energy for his creation. But like, the traditional high fashion fashion and spending in like Lambos and all that shit. Like, a Lambo's not gonna make you any. A Lambo's gonna give you more fucking problems because you gotta insure that thing, and then
Yes.
if someone scratches it, you're
Yes.
gonna be shitting
Yes.
piles if you can't fix that car. So like, it gives you more stress than actual freedom. The freedom is, and I'll finish my rant, focusing and dedicating your time to what you want to do.
Yeah, man. Props to what you just said. It's so true. And I want to say something to the people listening to us because they might be some newbies, some people starting, and some people like, first of all, Bitcoin is money. So I love to spend my Bitcoin. I don't like to hoard my Bitcoin because it's all about the mentality. Either you live in a scarcity mentality or you live into abundance mentality. So choose always the abundance mentality. Don't be afraid of tomorrow, okay? We praise God provides. So Bitcoin, sure, when I pay, I bought something and I go back looking to it a few years ago and I see, oh shit, how much is it worth today? That pizza or whatever that I bought in Bitcoin, and you see that it's worth more. But at the same time, like, it doesn't matter because
It's
if you're
relative.
and also the only important thing is, do you have more money at the end of the month, or are you always in need to take out money? So first of all, break even. At least make sure that you break even. Once you break even, go 100% in Bitcoin and just sell out slowly when you need to spend it. And if you do it like that, you're always going to win, because the people that are chasing, when to enter, when to exit the market, and this is all bullshit. This is all nonsense. 90% of them lose money, and the other 10% are always stressed and live in that stress because people
And on a
think
cocaine binge, because you cannot be at peace looking at those charts 24
you
7.
can't. You can't. You can't. You're always looking, But if you don't do that, you're gonna be at peace. And what I wanted to say is that, like, you don't know if you're gonna write a successful book tomorrow and make $1 million from it. If you're gonna invent something, if you're gonna open a joint. So now you have vibe coding. You can go to V0 and start coding for free. You can have your own website. You can push your own brand. You can do whatever you want. What you're doing right now is a great example of what
Yeah.
Bitcoin can help you achieve. So as you said, maybe you're a musician, maybe you're a cook. I have a friend in Bull Bitcoin, Science. Shout out to Science. He's selling spicy sauce now with a website that he vibe coded, and he's using BTC Pay to get paid. So you have the whole global infrastructure that's there ready to help you emancipate yourself. So forget about that. Forget about hoarding and forget about all of that nonsense. Just use your time wisely to gain enough money to put food on your table for you and your family, and then to have a little bit more to buy just a little bit more Bitcoin on top. And after that, man, we're all sat millionaire. One sat is going to be worth $1. If you see during the last 50, 60 years how the dollars has been doing, and if you see since 2009 how Bitcoin has been doing, and you put the two charts together, you're going to understand that with time, every day you're getting richer while everybody around you is getting poorer.
That's
And
true.
we're so early right now. We're so early. Like, we think because we talk a lot about Bitcoin, we see Bitcoiners with shit posts with Bitcoin, that anybody knows what's going on. But man, nobody knows. Okay, we're a small minority of zealots, of fanatics, of retards, and we're just trying to make the world a more beautiful place for everybody, and including the animals that we share. Because Bitcoin is like that. No matter if you're a dipshit banker from BlackRock or if you're me and you, like, this standard is improving everything for everybody, including the natural life eventually, once the planet gets freed from this nonsense and this hunt. Because, like, when you see in Africa people killing lions and stuff like that, these people don't have anything to eat. We're judging them. We're like, oh man, they're killing a beautiful lion, whatever. And sometimes they get killed also by the guards, and they're poachers or whatever. But when you look closely, why are these poachers there? Well, they're there because of the Fiat system, because it robbed them of their future. They don't have anything to eat, so they need to turn to criminality and to pillaging and to distraction. And this is the same thing, not only in the jungle, it's the same thing in society. That's why we get fucked and we get pillaged and we get scammed, because of the Fiat system, because the Fiat system promotes scam. So for me, Sailor, to come back to the Las Vegas and this thing, like, I don't know, man. This guy might be the next FTX. Like, we don't know. He don't want to show the addresses. He's like, trust me, bro. Okay. And when you see the older videos of him talking about Bitcoin, you understand that he didn't understand it back then. I'm not sure he does still. You
And that
never
wasn't that
know
long ago, by the way. That was
yeah,
like
exactly.
3, 4 years ago.
Yeah. So the truth is, we don't know who understands it. we're an infinite minority that are Bitcoiners, and among this infinite minority that are Bitcoiners, we don't truly know who really
Who
understands it.
really cracks the code?
So, like, it's so early. Don't worry about it. You didn't miss the boat. Today is the day one. Today is the day one of your Bitcoin future, man. And so that's what Stoicism teaches. Like you said, the future is uncertain. You could be dead tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
So at least live today in abundance. At least live today with a free peace of mind, knowing that you're building a better future for yourself and everybody around you. And going out and orange pilling somebody is a blessing, man. I have people still shouting out to me, bro, you changed my life, thank you, you orange pilled me, and this is cool because these people have families, they're gonna orange pill somebody, their families are gonna go better off, maybe, and it avoids all kinds of human tragedies once we all have enough to eat, and once we all have enough to send our kids to school, to pay the essentials. We don't need fancy stuff, but at the same time, you want a Lambo, buy it. But as you say, you're gonna wreck it, everything. I had a lot of businesses back then. I'm an entrepreneur since I was young. I had successes, I have failures, I had restaurants and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you're always fucking hungry, chasing something, you're working your ass off, and you're always paying something. There's the government, people don't want to come to work, you have to find another worker, you have to please
Suppliers.
the customer, you have to smile, you have to, Bitcoin, you don't have to do anything, just buy it, hold it, that's it. It's yours forever. Infinity. It's always going up. So it's so simple, yet people refuse to understand it, and they're still chasing fucking yields. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think yield chasing is such a fiat mentality. How much percentage can I get per year? It's like, man, if you have your Bitcoin, and as you said, which is easier said than done, you just hold it and buy it and don't touch it. You don't have to chase no yield. And something that's really prompting, and a lot of people, and as much as I love Jack, I really don't like his speech. I just watched it earlier today in Vegas about him shilling his lending product, which is I tell, a lot of people reach out to me personally, social circle and people that follow me online, and they're like, hey, Gigi, what do you think? Should I sell some Bitcoin or should I go to a lending platform? And I'm like, man, don't think about I ask him, my straightaway answer is, do you have 100 Bitcoin? Of course, I get a no. I go, well, don't think about lending. Unless you have hundreds of Bitcoin, and even then, I don't know if I would do it. But if you're a humble pleb stacking sats, forget getting lending, because you're Bitcoin is still volatile. Well, still, as you said, early days. There can be a black swan event. Maybe Coinbase, maybe Strategy goes down tomorrow, and we see Bitcoin plummet to 30, 20K, which I wouldn't be surprised, frankly. If it happens, I'd be fucking happy, because I'd be buying sats on a Black Friday mega. But if you're lending and that happens and you don't have the collateral to add to it, even if you have and you're adding and the price is plummeting, you just get rugged, instead of through a scammer hack, through the actual lending provider, which is in the game just to get more sats for them. And lending, I really don't like it. And as you said, and I fully agree with that, Bitcoin is money. Use it as money. This whole stigma of buy, hodl, and never sell your Bitcoin, which actually Michael made fucking popular. Never sell your Bitcoin. Shut the fuck up and spend your Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is money. And one thing I really agree with Jack Dorsey, even though conservative on his seedless take, but he was recently on a podcast where he said, if we don't use Bitcoin as money, the Bitcoin protocol fails. And I fully agree with that. If we don't transact and use it as money, it's going to get corrupted. It was done. Satoshi, for fuck's sake, open the white paper if you don't disagree. The subheading is peer-to-peer electronic cash. It's not peer-to-peer lending, speculating, leveraged financial instrument. It's peer-to-peer cash. And every time I can pay something in Bitcoin, I always go for the Bitcoin. And well, to be honest, I don't have a chance. I'm 100%. I'm on a Bitcoin standard. I don't really, but the people that do have a chance and have fiat and Bitcoin, I tell them always go for Bitcoin. And if you feel super sentimental about your sats, that you have a fiat stash and you have your Bitcoin, which you really like, it's your savings, and I respect that. Well, before making that order, go to Bull Bitcoin or any other exchange and buy that Bitcoin equivalent in fiat at that point in time, and send the Bitcoin on chain. So you're actually populating the mempool, where
We are first time in a bull market, and the mempools are like mining empty
Yeah,
blocks.
man.
It's fucking insane. Like 1-2 sats per V byte, and we're at 100+ K. It's just it's like it's crazy. It's never happened ever in Bitcoin like cycle history where we're all time high, and then the blocks are empty. Let alone like the fees are high, like empty blocks. So I really encourage people to go out and spend their Bitcoin. And if you're spending Bitcoin and living on a Bitcoin standard, as I mentioned in my anecdote, you spend much less. Like you get out of this consumerism habit of I just need to spend, because inflation's coming and things are getting more expensive. No, to me, Bitcoin is not NGU. It's numbers go down because everything to me gets cheaper and cheaper with time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in
Yeah.
fiat, yeah, its number go up. Everything gets more and more expensive. So if you're holding in Bitcoin and spending in Bitcoin, it's a much more peaceful and wiser choice than be speculating, as I said, this trying to sell the top, buy the bottom. Give yourself a break. Just buy at whatever price and hold it.
The only question that you need to ask yourself with Bitcoin is, does it work? If it does work, it changes everything. And if it does work, then it can go down to 99 cents. I'll be the happiest motherfucker in town. You know, it can go down
I'll
to
be
1
buying at
cent.
$2, and
Yeah,
many people will be
exactly.
buying at 10, and many people will be
Yeah.
buying at 100. Like I
Yeah.
recently spoke to about this on someone. I was like, don't think that the dollar is going anywhere close to zero because there's always going to be buyers, and like people are always waiting on the side. So it's going to work forever. And 16 years. Yugo, 16 years, not 60, not 600 years, and we are the 5th largest asset class in the world.
It's crazy.
Like if that's not a aha moment for you, like I don't know, you waiting for that number one spot, like 20 trillion later when we like shoot the gold into the runner up and actually take the first place and stay there forever, man. Like now is the time to get in. And recently I spoke to someone that was saying, like, oh, isn't it risky? I said, man, like if you buy Bitcoin 10 years ago, yeah, maybe it was risky because you didn't know what the hell was going on, and it was a few $100. And like if you think today's volatile, like back then it was like it was 70% moves up and down in like 24 hours. That's volatility. But like I'm like, now there's so much infrastructure getting built, so many beautiful minds working on the protocol and building stuff that, man, now even though it's 100K, it's the best time to get in. And maybe the best time was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today.
Man, the best time is always the first day that you understand what you're buying, and like the boomers are going away also. Like this whole fiat structure is held by boomers, and the boomers, once they go away, it's going to be us, and once we're there, there's some base Bitcoiners that are there. So like you say, man, like it's so early, we're day one. And about the meme pool being empty, this shows to me that there's infinite potential. Like imagine all of the business owners that are paying fees to Visa and to MasterCard, and that are getting totally wrecked, and that are getting their productivity and their gains sucked out because of the fiat system, that can use Lightning today and have basically no fees. So these guys like Sailor and all of these guys at Las Vegas, how I see it, once they offer these products, I see them as they trying to take your Bitcoin. Because if they were truly trying to improve Bitcoin, well, they would be out there talking to business owners and trying to explain to them that they can save 5-10% on fees and still make money with their business, and to help to make the mempool full and to grow our ecosystem. But instead, what they're doing, they're targeting Bitcoiners, so people that already have Bitcoin, and they're trying to smooch it off through all kinds of schemes. Listen, lend me your Bitcoin, I'm gonna give you this, trust me, bro. No, I don't have the reserves, but it's all good, man. Fuck you. Okay, the same rules apply to everybody. And like, to me, they're all kind of scammy. They're all kind of scammy. The moment somebody's trying to take your Bitcoin away, and that's not trying to teach you how to make your Bitcoins grow or how to use your Bitcoins more wisely,
self-custody your
for
Bitcoin.
self-custody, for me, it's a scammer automatically. I don't like, there's only like, you're either on the left or on the right. I don't have like a middle place for you. I'm sorry. So that's how I see the thing.
It's a very binary world. It's all zeros and ones, right? There is no half, right? Like, so
exactly.
Choose
So,
your side wisely.
but if you do a shit coin, fuck you, you're a shitcoiner. And that's it. Elon Musk is a shitcoiner. Donald Trump is a
Yeah.
shitcoiner. You know, these guys are shitcoiners. Yeah,
Well, Donald's the biggest businessman ever. So, like, that guy, it was just a gimmick from the get go. Like, that guy did airlines, hotels. Man, that guy's a
steaks,
sellout.
thighs,
Steak,
chicken wings,
everything.
I met him, by the way. I have a book that he signed, The Art of the Deal, for me. I met him in the Trump Tower before he became president. He was one of
Before he was huge.
Yeah, he wasn't huge yet. And everybody thought that back at that time that Jeb Bush was going to win, you know? So I went down there to New York. I went to the Trump Tower and I was like, for sure, this guy is going out to lunch, you know, like all the boomers do. And that's exactly what he did. And I'm like, Mr. Trump, you're going to be the next president. Please sign my book. He signed it once. And I said, could you sign it another time? He said, how come? I said, maybe I want to sell it on eBay. And he's like, okay, I'll sign it. So he signed it 2 times. So I have a double signed book by Donald Trump. The Art of the Deal.
When are you selling? You're waiting for peak Fiat to sell it to buy some sats?
I don't know, man. I thought about it. Like I could get something for it, but I think I'm just gonna leave it as a family, you know.
Give it sentimental. Pass it down.
And I have the Bitcoin standard also that was signed by SafeDAM. So I have that, and I have a few others, you know. So I'm gonna keep it for my son, I think. And one day I'm gonna talk to him about Donald J. Trump and what he did for Bitcoin. But I heard at the conference that he became a Bitcoin maxi. So don't forget, anybody can be a shitcoiner and become a Bitcoin maxi.
Well, they need to go through the learning stage.
Yeah.
I don't know how about you. I also went through my Ripple XRP Ethereum in the beginning. It was always like, oh, but this is, you know, much bigger gains. You're still trying to figure it out. So like, it's understandable when the government's also like, yeah, we'll have a strategic reserve and we'll have all these like other bunch of shit coins because they're like brand new to it. They're just like pushed in. But it's nice to hear that he's actually, you know, on the maxi side.
That's what they said. That's what his son said that in Las Vegas. He said that Trump now doesn't want to hear nothing about anything else than Bitcoin. So he said he's a Bitcoin maxi, but we still believe into the blockchain and stuff like that. So his sons are still idiots, but him may become a Bitcoin maxi. Let's hope so. But you know, there's also a lot of divergent thoughts about that. Should the government own Bitcoin? Like there's a lot of people in Bull Bitcoin that think that the government should stay the fuck out of Bitcoin and leave it for the rest of us. Me, for myself, I think that Bitcoin is for everybody. Like you can be the evilest motherfucker or the best motherfucker, and still you like Bitcoin is gonna help everybody slowly, and it's gonna help you also become a better person. So even if you're a dipshit and you enter into Bitcoin and you get wrecked if you do it the bad way, well, it might help you realign your life. You know, I think that everybody can be saved at the end of the day, and anybody can become a better human beings because we're all flawed, man. Every human is flawed, and we're all in this school of life, which is Earth, trying to understand what the fuck is going on and how to become a better human, a better father, a better husband, a better son, and whatever we do. So for me, Bitcoin is a tool, is a very powerful tool. And you have people like Max Kaiser also. I love Stacy, by the way. Stacy for me is the queen of Bitcoin. But Max, like he's been, you know, it went to his head. The same way you can be a shitcoiner and become a Bitcoin maxi, you can be a Bitcoin maxi and become a retarded shitcoiner or go to strange lands once it, you know, you think you become bigger than anybody else. And Max, it happens to him. He's like, Bitcoin is God, you know, he tweets that. So total blasphemy. And so Bitcoin, you need to use it wisely. It's a powerful tool, and you need to stay the fuck humble. You know, don't go out there and saying nonsense. It's gonna bite you in the ass.
No, for sure. And the actual government in Bitcoin, for how many years, everybody, and especially the cypherpunk, well, maybe the cypherpunk still stick to the same knowledge, but like the general Bitcoin Twitter was always saying the Bitcoin separating the money from the state, right? And then like when presidential elections were coming up and this whole Bitcoin strategic reserve, and everyone's just cheering away like, yay, the government's buying Bitcoin. They're going to pump my bags, you know, like fantastic. But like at the same time, it's, you know, I'm on the fence. I'm not going to choose the side. If I had to choose, like there's a gun on my head and they say choose your, like you want the government to hold it or no, I'd probably go down the route of no, because even though Bitcoin is for everyone, I would much prefer the ordinary citizens stack sats at these levels than the bureaucrats in the White Houses and Capitol Hills, you know, just like amassing wealth with the coins, which they might not even understand the whole potential of them. But then again, it's a free open protocol. We cannot restrict you. We cannot sanction you. It's, if you want to play, you can play. And I think sooner or later, all governments are going to be holding Bitcoin. It's just a matter of time. So I think
Yeah.
sitting back and crying, why does the government, hold Bitcoin? It's not going to help you. Going back to the Stoic thing, just focus on your own Bitcoin stash. Like don't focus on the government. Focus on your deeds, what you can do. And to be honest, there's many different ways you can stack. It's not just putting your fiat in, but as you said, the fantastic example with a science from Bull Bitcoin team. If you have an idea, a talent, or a service, you don't have to have a product. Just offer it to 8 billion people around the world, 24 hours a day, 365 days. And setting up a BTC Pay server is super easy than it was in the early days. And there's so many plugins now. And even if you have a Wix website or whatever, it's like a few clicks, puck, puck, and you can be accepting Bitcoin into self-custody directly with zero fees.
Yeah.
Shout out to the BTC Pay server guys. I'm also
Amazing.
huge supporters of the guys, what they're doing to the freeing up the world. Like it's so easy for you to accept sats, and they're KYC free sats. You're not sending no selfie and dick pics to some exchange to verify it's really you.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And the Gen Zs especially, which are like heavy on the e-commerce, there's so much untapped potential in e-commerce with selling your product or service for Bitcoin. It's just insane. I'm slowly seeing some people go to it, but I still think, if you're selling your product or service for Bitcoin, you are differentiating yourself hugely from your competitors. And you're like a orange magnet, like inviting all the Bitcoiners to come and buy your product, because us Bitcoiners, we love supporting each other. So like it's the greatest Peter McCormack's term cheat code, which I don't think is going to last forever. But at the moment, at least for the next 5, perhaps 10 years, it's the biggest cheat code. Just start selling your goods for Bitcoin. And the sats that you're stacking today, imagine in 10 years, if you're selling a t-shirt for $10 and Bitcoin's at 10, 5, whatever, billions of dollars, doesn't matter. Like forget the fiat term. You're just like, you're super well off.
It's the sats. It's the sats that matter.
The sats,
and
correct.
I think that it's going to happen. But governments all around the world need to have Bitcoiners at every position of power, And then once in those positions of power, because what is government? It's just small power maneuvers that exist in a society and that are occupied by many people. And you have obviously very ambitious people, fiat lords, and all kinds of corruption. But if there's Bitcoiners occupying that are mayors, that are senators, then they can enable laws that will get the fuck out of the way and let the general public own, trade, no KYC. KYC is such a scam because it makes us unsafe. We have to do it at Bull Bitcoin because it's the law in Europe. I don't know in which European country you are right now.
I'm not. I'm in Russia, actually. So no European laws.
Shut up. KYC is the law, but it makes us so unsafe because, like you say, we have our selfie, our ID out there, and then for us, it's such a great concern to always protect it, to delete it, to use the highest standard, and what happened to Coinbase is sad, but it's not Coinbase's fault. It's the fault of the government that made them do that. Like if they just left it KYC free, we wouldn't have this problem. So, and now with this world that we are entering, where you have Bitcoin, you have the quantum computers, and you have the robotics, like there's not going to be jobs like we were used to, because you're going to be able to buy a $50,000 robot that's going to work day and night in the factory, and you're going to repair it, you're going to recharge it, but that's it. So the true value that you have now is your brand, your intellect, your imagination. The imagination now is the money, is where the money is. So if you use Bitcoin as a powerful tool, and if you use your imagination to create sats from the services and what you offer, well, then, man, it's a cheat code into the matrix, and going forward, you're going to be the richest guy around you, in your neighborhood, and it's just mathematics.
100%. And, to defend the Bull Bitcoin KYC aspect, unfortunately, it's something you have to do. But I must say, from self-experience, my KYC with Bull Bitcoin was sending literally a photo of my driver's license, period. There's no tax. There's no proof of address. There's no selfie with a piece of fucking paper in the date on and me saying, rug me. Like, it was so straightforward. And if someone gets my driver's license, fantastic. I hope you sell it for many Bitcoin sats on the dark web. But like, it's minimal. And I love, what Francis had a fantastic, hugely recommend anyone that's been like, these guys are really selling me Bull Bitcoin. Go listen to Francis's episode on my good friends, Knut's and Luke's podcast, the Bitcoin Infinity Show, which unfortunately I hoped it would get more views, but it's a matter of time. Francis really nails it down where he says companies today are over complying with taking so much extra stuff because they're selling bags of shit coinery and they want to make sure they sell their shit coins forever. Whereas bull Bitcoin, we take the absolute minimum. And if ever a government wants the information of our clients, like we need a court order for that person. So
Exactly.
like if there's any exchange that I feel safe with my KYC and like I don't worry about it, it's probably just bull Bitcoin. Because as I said, it was one driver's license and that's it. Like period. There's no tax numbers, no bunch of like gibberish that you need to provide to all these exchanges, which is, as you said, you're exposing yourself to some strangers breaking into your house, really hurting you and your loved one and your kids to get access to your Bitcoin. It's just insane. And this whole surveillance world of KYC and AML and this whole anti-money laundering and terrorist financing, like what people don't realize, the real terrorists and money launderers are the guys that enacted those things because they're like bombing the shit out of people and laundering trillions of dollars
and
under
we know
the
it. They
nose
paid
on
them.
a
They paid in court. They were.
That's true.
The Mexican cartels are laundering through bankers.
Yeah.
And they get caught and everything. So every time you see a law, this law is to protect somebody's monopoly or to protect somebody's interest. And that somebody was rich enough to be able to get to the people voting for that law. And it's sneaky. It takes time. Bitcoiners need to do the same thing. We need to organize, So there's a whole system out there that exists that has been corrupted by disgusting fiat money. And we need to heal that system with Bitcoiners, through us, through our ideas, through our meddling in shit. Grassroots politics.
Bitcoin jungle, what Francis and the guys are doing, and other places around the world is fantastic.
Yeah. We're starting one in Cozumel, we're
nice.
Not us, but like the people that are there that are organizing. We need more circular Bitcoin economies because we need these people that sell their products there to get richer every year. So the little guy, in Costa Rica that's selling his steaks in sats, well, he's going to keep 5% of those sats. He might not use all of them. And these 5% that he keeps, they're emancipating his whole family from poverty and from a perilous situation. So no, man, I'm very, very bullish for the future. We have something that we quite don't understand yet. Even the most maxis of us, like we love Bitcoin, but I think that we can't yet imagine what it will become, the same way that when internet started, and the early PC people were talking about it, like they were like, yeah, everybody's going to have a home computer and they didn't understand that now you can order Uber Eats and you can, Amazon can deliver you shorts and like we're going to be able to, with a drone, we're going to be able to talk on a podcast and, BTC pay, whatever, like
crazy.
You can't imagine those things. The same way we cannot imagine what will be built on top of this. This is just the first layer of the liberation of humanity, man. And I feel blessed to be a part of it. I feel blessed every time I speak to based Bitcoiners like yourself.
Likewise.
And like spreading the word about it and talking about it for me gives me great joy. And I hope to do it for the next 50, 60, 70, 100 years if I can, man.
For the rest of our days. Well, I think we will. Like, if anything, Bitcoiners really take care of their health and focus on preserving their well-being, which is something also contrary to the Fiat legacy system, which is all on like binging fast food, heavy drugs, drinking, and just like live for today, forget tomorrow. And we are like, yeah, we're living today, but we really care about, the next decade, not tomorrow. So like, let's see where we go. I have Yugocana had some questions lined up. We're 1 hour into the show. We flew through the questions, but anyways, the questions don't dictate the show. I do have one question though, which I think will be a nice loop to close the plethora of things that we discussed on this episode. We talked a lot about the protocol and the kind of sovereign aspect of Bitcoin. And then we also talked about the Stoicism and the mindset of like really unplugging yourself from the matrix. I have a final question for you, my friend, which is, in your view, is Bitcoin primarily a technological revolution or a psychological one?
I would say that, man, because even if Bitcoin gets destroyed today, it doesn't change what it showed us, and it doesn't change the change that it had on many Bitcoiners. So I think it's a spiritual one. I think that it's something that I don't know where it came from. We don't know who Satoshi is. We know that they would have killed him if he was not Anon. That we can be sure of, because the other assholes that tried to open their own banks ended up killed. So I understand why he stayed Anon, but like Nikola Tesla used to say all knowledge comes from the unity, from God itself. So we're just antennas, and once we're aligned internally, we get that knowledge, we get that epiphany. So I think that that's where Bitcoin comes from. It comes also, Bitcoin is not just it comes from a long series of people thinking about money, thinking about the problems, thinking about cryptography, thinking about how to solve these issues. So you had people writing books way before Bitcoin was even invented. So no, it's not only a technology one. And I do not think that Bitcoin can be reproduced either. Like, I think that it was that specific moment in time, that beautiful moment, and that it opened the black hole or the orange hole into the fabric of space of time. So I think it's a spiritual one. And I think that even if it failed today, it won't change what it started, and we would find a way to bounce back and to make it stronger even, and
To
come
reboot
back.
it.
Yeah, to reboot
Back
it
to
on
the
the
future.
quantum level.
I love it. Yeah, no, you mentioned that a couple of times, and I want to, definitely support it. Being at the right time, at the right place with the right people, that's like the magical golden triangle. No matter how good your idea is, if it's too early, like if Steve Jobs was around 100 years ago, there's not much he could have done, but like the right
Exactly.
place where he was with the right time, with how the world was revolving. And I think with Satoshi as well. Actually, a few episodes back, I was discussing this with a guest. I was saying, I was relating Satoshi to Steve Jobs, where, to my knowledge, like Satoshi wasn't like an incredible coder. He was the dot connector, just like Steve Jobs wasn't a programmer, and he wasn't even a designer. And he has arguably the most beautiful technological devices today, but he was the dot connector, which went to Xerox, sought the mouse, connected this, and went to the garage and slowly connected the dots. And Satoshi, just like with Adam Bags, SHA-256, Xiaomi and eCash, what happened? It was wrong time with gold. He got the quick cutoff point. We're not doing this. There were so many. And then Nick Zappo, like so many amazing cypherpunks that were developing these freedom tools. And then Satoshi just was at the right time, at the right place, and just connected them into this one masterful super protocol and just let it go. And then 2 years / 3 years later, just like said, I'm moving on to greater things, and just disappeared into the dark. And I think that's the most beautiful story
it's so
ever.
Beautiful. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. It's also a show of humility, man. It's a show that he
on
won
the greatest level.
On the greatest level. Satoshi won a total victory over himself. Okay.
Yeah.
And that allowed him to share with the world what he understood, and that allowed him to connect these dots that changed the world forever. And I hope he's having a nice time somewhere, having nice lunch with his family, eating a Mediterranean diet somewhere, enjoying the beautiful Adriatic Sea.
Hopefully.
And not thinking about Sailor and the other guys, what they're doing, and because he now left it out there and it's becoming something bigger, and even him doesn't know what it's going to become next.
100%.
And even back, he took his Bitcoin and he was the biggest asshole. Satoshi's back, he's a shitcoiner, okay? He shills JPEGs. It wouldn't change anything. Because what he did at the moment, how he did it, now it's open source, so now you have beautiful minds all across the world that are contributing to it, and it's only the beginning, man, of great things. And you have this breakaway civilization that are the elites that I was talking about. They stole during COVID $4 trillion, okay? And since the crisis of 2008, they stole trillions, okay? And these people, they want to build their bunkers, they want to isolate them from ourselves, they see us as the enemy. Meanwhile, Bitcoiners are building the human society. We're fixing this world that they ruined. They ruined this world, and they're trying to run away to their bunkers with our money, But Bitcoiners, we're staying here, we're talking to everybody else, we're helping everybody else understand, and we're going to fix it here, and they can go fuck themselves. So that's what we're doing, man, and it's a beautiful work. It's God's work.
It is indeed. Yugocana, I think we could be rolling this for many few hours, but I like to keep it to like an hour, because I tend to focus on people that are only starting their Bitcoin journeys, and I don't want them, to go on a 3-4 hour journey.
Perfect.
But I would definitely love to have you back in the future. Yugocana, this was an absolute pleasure. Thanks for bringing the fire and the philosophy. Before we close, where can our listeners follow your work and stay plugged in with everything you're doing at Bull Bitcoin?
You can find me on Twitter, 0 to 1 Bitcoin. 0 and 1 are numbers, the rest are letters. 1 Bitcoin. Yugocana, you have my link on there to create your own Bull Bitcoin account. We're a family at Bull Bitcoin. If you join with us, you're going to see that you won't need anybody else. And we keep adding features, we keep making it better. So create your account, support us, and stack sats, give all glory to God. And that's the cheat code in the matrix, my friends.
Amazing. And everyone listening to this episode, if you're serious about freedom and about sovereignty and about thinking for yourself in a world that doesn't want you, take what you've heard today and go a little bit deeper. If you've been chasing stats, but still trust someone else to guard them, you're building your citadel on rented land. Become Unruggable is one of my one-on-one self-custody program designed to help you take full control of your Bitcoin, your keys, and your future. It's time to move from trust to truth. Reach out to me on X or send me an email at becomeunruggable@proton.me. Sovereignty doesn't wait. Take the first step. And I'll leave you with a quote from Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not just Stoicism. That's Bitcoin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on your Bitcoin Story podcast.